I'm about to go live on YouTube. 1 second. Okay, you guys are live and the meeting is yours whenever you'd like to start.
Okay, guys, how's everybody? I'd like to do a call to order. If we could all stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
and to the republic
for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Miniletti,
Here, I'm present in Wolverine Lake.
Laybourne,
Present Wolverine Lake.
Tupper,
President Wolverine Lake,
Ingram,
Present Wolverine Lake.
Moretto,
Present Wolverine Lake.
Duff,
Present Wolverine Lake.
All right, that is everybody. Approval of the October 20th minutes. I was not at this meeting. Does anybody have any questions or concerns?
Nope. Motion to approve.
I second.
Okay, I'll have to abstain from a vote since I wasn't there, so go ahead and do a roll call, please.
Laybourne,
Yes.
Tupper,
yes.
Ingram,
Yes.
Moretto.
Your
Moretto,
dog.
Oh, I didn't hear you. Yes. Sorry.
Duff,
Yes.
Is that everybody?
If I may, Craig, I think
Sure.
we might have discussed this before. It really isn't, it doesn't matter either way, but you technically, you can, under the rules, vote to approve minutes even for a meeting that you weren't present, based upon your acknowledgement of your co-board members' approvals. So it's really not, you don't have to, but it's really not anything that you must abstain from.
Do you want me to approve minutes of a meeting that I wasn't at?
Correct. Yep. Yeah.
I think I'll pass on that one, but okay.
Okay.
Good to know. Okay, new business. We need to assign a chair, a vice chair, and a secretary for 2021. What does everybody want to do?
I think you're a great chair there, Craig.
Yes, that seems to be the theme that I hear every year. It's fine. If Kyle, do you want to take a larger role? You're really the only one that can.
Hey, Craig, I think we have some guests in our meeting. Is it time? It's not quite time for them yet, is it?
No.
I have no idea. I don't run the meeting. The other gentleman's running it, so if they're in, they need to be out.
Oh, Tyler, I'm going to put you in the waiting room until they call your name. My bad.
You're all right,
Okay.
man. No worries.
No problem.
Okay. Kyle. 1, 2, 3,
Doesn't
Kyle.
matter. Like I said, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't-
If
you're
someone else can
good?
Take a larger role, I will.
All right. Aaron, are you okay with vice chair?
So I am, but there's a but. I guess my only concern is that if the meetings go back in person before I'm able to join in person, I would hate to put anyone in a position if I'm not able to join, if that makes sense.
I would venture to guess that we are going to go back live here this year. I can't tell you when. I mean,
To clarify the state rules as they stand now, meetings must be held virtually until the 31st of this month. And then
Right.
we have to see what's going to happen. But the legislature has approved meetings virtually through March 31st for any reason. So if if the board wants to do virtual or the village chooses to do virtual, irrespective of what those health orders that come out in January, at the end of January are, they still can be held through February and March, if that helps anything.
yeah, and again, I'm fine with keeping it virtual. I mean, obviously for Aaron's sake, I think we can get all of what we need to get accomplished, especially with only having a couple of cases. But I'm only one person, so, but no one's emailed me and said they have a concern by doing virtual. So I guess this is a good platform. If somebody has a concern, air it now so we know. If we're all good going virtual, then maybe we can plan to at least run this through April 1st and then kind of go from there. It sounds like we're good to go through the end of March.
I'm good with that.
Right.
Yeah.
Anybody have an objection with that?
No.
All right, should we do a motion then to keep meetings going through the end of March virtual, or don't need that at this time?
You don't really need that. It's gonna, and actually, it would be up in the end, up to the village administration to make sure that they are gonna provide the Zoom services, but I haven't been told, or maybe Mark knows something to the effect that they wouldn't be, but I think.
Well, maybe Mark can work on that for us. I mean, we at least, it seems like we're covered to the end of March we're covered for this meeting anyways. Mark, maybe you can look into that and let us know.
Yeah, not a problem.
All right, great, thank you. Okay, so do we want to keep everything the same then, or do we want to promote Kyle up? It doesn't matter to me. Doesn't sound like it doesn't matter to Kyle either. If
I'm
not,
sorry,
I'll take a
What
motion.
are we promoting Kyle to?
Well, Kyle would take Bonnie's place for secretary, or Aaron's place as vice chairperson, or my place as chairperson. Kathy can't do anything because she's just a liaison. Mark can't do anything because he's just a liaison. So really, it's a 4-person board with 2 liaisons. Not that the secretary really does anything. To me, it's more of something in front of your name. And
Right.
Unless something traumatic happens, like happened at the last meeting, I don't plan on missing anything, especially if we're going to stay virtual for a while. I don't foresee anything being that I won't be at a meeting.
I'll make a motion that we just have everything the same.
I will wait for a second.
I'll second that.
Okay. Why don't we do a roll call on that?
Oh, if I can get on mute. Oh, okay, I'm unmuted now. Ingram,
Yes.
Tupper,
Yes.
Moretto,
Yes.
Duff,
Yes.
Maletti,
Yes. Okay.
Laybourne.
Yes.
All right, thanks, guys. Okay, presentation of cases. ZBA case 20-702, Tyler Williams, location of the property 2131 Helmsford Drive, Wolverine Lake, Michigan. Basis for the appeal 1270.08 subsection C, set 1-A, fences. Applicant proposes a non-ornamental fence, 1270.08 section C, subsection 1, subsection D.4, fences. Applicant proposes a fence in the lakefront yard. No fences are permitted in required or unrequired lakefront yards.
I'll make a motion to open.
Okay, second.
Okay, I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You got to do a roll call.
Oh, my bad. Roll call it.
Laybourne,
Yes.
Duff,
Yes.
Moretto,
Yes.
Tupper,
Yes.
Ingram,
Yes.
Minneletti.
I say no, do we all get to go home? Just kidding, yes. Okay, Mr. Williams, are you in the meeting?
Yes.
How
Yeah,
are you
I'm
doing
on.
today, sir?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Please state your name, your address, and apparently where you're at right now. Tell us what you're proposing and everything about what you want to do.
Sure. My name's Tyler Williams. My address is 2131 Helmsford Drive. I'm in Wolverine Lake right now. I'm at my house.
Thank you.
So my request is to be allowed to have the fence that I proposed. I understand that there are requirements with the type of fence that you can have, and then also where you can have fences, which lots can have it. I understand that. I think that my lot is somewhat unique, that it has subdivision lake access on one side, and then also that my house is on the canal. If you're not familiar with my address, it's Helmsford Drive is on the guess, east side of the lake. And my house is on the canal. I sent some information with my request that kind of showed some pictures and the site plan. Is that something that you guys all got and were able to look at?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so I was just trying to kind of explain where my type of fence that I was proposing came from, and it was kind of replicating the dog park in Milford. I thought that looked nice, so that was what I wanted for my fence. And then just kind of showing the images of what it looks like to kind of show my particular lot and what the shoreline looks like, and then how the fence looks in the yard, and really trying to emphasize how open it is versus like a plank fence or even a chain link fence. Really, the wire mesh and the posts to me looked more open, and that was my preference for the fence.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I don't think I have anything else to add.
Well, I'm sure we'll
If you
come back
guys
to you
have
with
any
questions.
questions,
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm sure we're gonna come back to you with questions.
okay.
Is there anybody in the virtual waiting room that I need to worry about public?
So I have a couple numbers in the waiting room, but I do have one raising their hand who would like to speak.
Okay,
Second.
click them in, please.
Caller 3214, please hit *6 to unmute. I'm going to put you in right now.
Hello, are you there?
Hello. Yep, can you hear me?
I can. How you doing?
Okay. Good. How are you doing? My name
I'm
is
good.
Mike
Can you
Hagan.
hold on, can you state your name and your address and where you're currently located, please?
Yep. My name is Michael Hagan. I'm at 2125 Helmsford Drive, and I'm currently at my house here.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm on the, I guess,
The west side?
yeah, the west side of Tyler, and yeah, his fence. He put it up back in, I think over the summer or something, and yeah, it hasn't bothered us at all. It's the dogs are, very well behaved in there. They're not out, barking or anything like that. Fence doesn't bother us. We have still good view of the canal and everything. So I just wanted to, let you know that us being right next to it are okay with it.
All right, great. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Have a good night. Who else is in our waiting room?
I have a couple other people. If you would like to talk to the board, it is *9 to raise your hand. I'm not seeing any other hands, so I think you guys can proceed.
Oh, wait,
Okay, at this
there's-
point, I'm going to close to the public, open to the board for
Oh.
questions.
Actually,
What?
one did just open their hand. One sec. Number 6412, please state your name and address before talking to the board. It is going to be *6 to unmute yourself.
Hello?
My
Caller,
name is Wes Fogg.
I'm sorry, state your name and your address and where you're currently located, sir.
My name is Wes Fogg, and I'm at 2103, and I'm at my house. I'm up the street.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, sir.
I wrote a letter in regard to this fence. I know the neighbor on the other side of the lot line next to the easement also wrote a letter. I've been in this community now for some 35 years, and there are safeguards in place called ordinances that ensure that our property values are maintained at a certain level. And I'm struggling with with the fact that this fence was erected and the person that erected it was told on the day he was erecting it that he needed a permit. And the people that told him that even called in and reported it to the village. And here we are some 6-8 months later, and we're talking about approving something that's already erected. So I'm struggling is, you know, how in the world can these things get to this point to being even considered when it's clear the rules for lakefront homes, which are in place to protect property values and aesthetics.
Because everybody has an
of the community.
opportunity, if they want to produce something and come to this board, they have the opportunity and the right to ask for the ordinance to be looked at for their certain circumstance. That's why a ZBA board is here. So that,
And
hopefully
I
that answers your
understand
question.
that. I've been through the process, and there's a fee involved to get to this point. Is there not a fee involved?
Correct, there is a fee involved.
So if the board chooses to decline on this request, the person that paid the fee loses the money. Correct?
Correct. Well, I guess I'm not seeing your point.
My point is that how do we get to the point of collecting fees for requests that are clearly outlined in the guidelines of our community to protect people's property values? How does it even get to this point?
Well, again, that's part of what the ZBA board does, is we hear cases. Everything that comes in front of us is basically asking to break the rules. That's why we're here. So, hold on, Liam. So in this instance, this situation to where he put up a fence or didn't put up a fence, I mean, we'll get to that point. And whether it's legal or not, we'll figure that out by the end of the night. But he has the opportunity to come in front of us and say he would like to basically have he would like to break the rules and like to do something. And that every case is the exact same thing. People are asking to break the rules, and our part of what we do is we see, does that fit with what's happening within the village? So that's why we're here tonight, is he paid the money. He did something without a permit. We've got to figure out what he did. Is it the correct thing, or do we have to somehow fix it? Go ahead, Leon. Sorry to interrupt you.
If I may, just to clarify from a legal perspective that the process is a bit switched around here. Normally, he should have come to the ZBA prior to erecting the fence. So I think that's the caller's point. So that's not the usual course. And I'm not sure, people can do things, erect fences without approval, and it's the village enforcement. So just because they weren't there at that exact moment that he erected the fence with enforcement, they can't be everywhere at all times. So it was discovered that it was improper, and now it's kind of going through a backward way. So it's not like some attempt for the village to be getting fees here or anything like that. I mean, this is not the procedure. The procedure is first to ask for permission to break the rules before breaking the rules and asking for forgiveness. So that's.
Well, the village was aware of it as it was being constructed. They were aware of it because one of the neighbors told me they called in while it was being erected, and the village chose to do nothing.
Well, here's my suggestion on that. Because this is really not something the board can take care of. That's not what we do. I would suggest you contact the village administrator and have this conversation with him, as well as potentially the code enforcement officer. But this is just not, if this is what you want to talk about, to me, it's not really prudent for this meeting, because we don't control that. We're just private citizens that sit on a board once a month. We have zero control of somebody calling in and saying somebody's doing something against the rules. We don't find out about it until 2 weeks ago when we get a packet in the mail. So if that's really where we're going to go with this, I appreciate. It sounds like you're not wanting the fence, which we understand, but I think the rest of this needs to go to the village administrator more than the ZBA board.
Hey, Craig, I would like to also make
I
a
wasn't,
small
I
comment.
wasn't the person, I wasn't
Mark,
the
go ahead.
person that,
I'll let him finish first.
Go ahead, sir, finish.
I was not the person that called the day it was being erected. It was another person that told me they did. So, but I just struggle with the fact that there was no one there to point out that this wasn't within the guidelines the day that it was pointed out. That's what I struggle with.
Well, again, something that I would suggest you talk to the village administrator about, as well as the code enforcement officer.
I'm not going to waste my time with that.
Okay, so let's move on. Mark, you had something to say?
Yeah, I was just going to point out that during all of this, in terms of COVID, sometimes our code enforcement officer wasn't exactly working, so that could have been part of the issue. I know that we've had similar issues that came up during COVID times, so.
Okay, all right, moving on. Anybody else for the public?
Yep, it is *9 to raise hand if anyone in the public would like to address the board. Just give it a minute. Looking
Hello, are
like
you there?
no hands, Craig. You guys can move on if you'd like to.
Okay, we are going to close to the public, open to the board for discussion. Tyler, were you aware that you needed a permit for this fence?
Yes. Yeah, I was.
So
Okay.
why'd you build it without a permit?
Yeah,
I did build it during COVID shutdown, so at the time I couldn't have gotten a permit, but I don't have a good excuse. Don't have any excuse for why I didn't do this in advance.
okay.
It's
I
really
appreciate
my
that.
mistake.
That's understandable. So because of COVID, your concern was you wouldn't be able to get a permit anyways. Is that what you're saying?
It kind of was somewhat of a quick decision. I had been wanting a fence for a while, but just the point in time that I did do it, my dad and my brother helped me put it up, and they were laid off of work at that time, so we just did it that week. But yeah, I know what I did was wrong in terms of not getting the permit.
No, what is the reason for the fence? Is it because of your dogs?
Yeah, that it makes it a lot easier for them in the yard, and then it's also nice with my neighbor just to make sure there's no. He has kids too, and it's just nice to kind of have that extra barrier and safety. And then on the other side of my yard, having a fence on the subdivision lake access side, it's kind of the same thing. If somebody wants to go down there and go fishing, it's nice to have a fence on that side to kind of dictate where my yard is and keep my dogs in.
Okay. So I was at your house today and your dogs were out, so I didn't want to go into the yard. There is not a fence on the water's edge, correct? I didn't see one. It's just on your side yards.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Now, Tim's not at this. He's not involved in this, is he? Is he in the meeting or no?
He's in.
He is not?
Yes.
He is. Tim, are you there? Tim Brandt.
I think he's muted.
There he goes.
Hello.
Hey, Tim, how are you?
Good, Craig. How are you?
I'm good, sir. Is one of the issues the type of fence he put up?
Well, I suppose it could be, but you can't have any in the lakefront. So no matter what style is
Okay.
constructed. So even if it was pool fence, it couldn't be,
Okay.
in the lakefront.
I just didn't know if that was one of the issues as well, the type of fence. Okay. Because what I drove down that street and I will tell you, there's probably a good half a dozen homes that have fences.
Yes, there are others.
And some of these fences do not look all that old. I don't see a bunch of rust on them. Now, I'm not saying what Tyler did was right, but I'm saying we've obviously picked out Tyler here on this particular fence. I think code enforcement might need to look at that entire street, and we might need to start bringing stuff up to code, because if this gentleman, if he is told he has to take his fence down, like I said, there's at least 6 that I counted that have fences, basically the same thing he's got. So just bringing that up to the board. Anybody else have any questions for Mr. Williams? Or any discussion on the board?
Craig, I think there's someone raising their hand in the waiting room. I don't know if we're close to that.
Done. I've closed that. They had that opportunity. They weren't there.
This is Tyler. Hi, this is Bonnie. You know, we have 2 things to consider here. One is the fact that you've put a fence on lakefront, and 2 is the materials that you use, which are clearly indicated in the ordinance book as not permissible. So where I struggle to understand what your hardship is, that where you should get a variance for those 2 things is, you know, I understand why you chose the materials you did, but the fact is that they are specifically cited as not permissible. So I other than they look nice, I'm struggling to understand what your hardship was that would require a variance for material type, besides the fact that it's on the lakefront.
Okay, yeah, I guess I don't have a good counterpoint of why I could not use a different material. And to be honest, I would be open to using a different material if that is what's required to maintain the fence. I'm open to that.
So is the biggest reason that you put the fence up is to basically keep your dogs enclosed?
Yeah, and to separate my lot from the subdivision lake access, which on that side of my lot, my understanding is that 4-foot tall fences are allowed on subdivision lake access.
I think you're right. I'd have to double check, but I think you're correct.
If the lake access, if it was on the lake access property, that's correct.
Yeah, so if I understand technically the fence is on my lot. I don't know exactly what would be involved in trying to pull a permit for that subdivision lake access strip, but it also would kind of shrink that strip of land if it moved another 5 feet over onto that land, which at that point it's a very small strip. So I'm okay with it being on my land, I guess. That's my viewpoint.
It would have to be the subdivision of seeking the permit to put up the fence, I think is what Tim's point was as well, because
Okay.
Yeah.
So there would have to be, you know.
The association has made applications in the past, not this one, but others, to install a fence, to maintain their lake access property.
Okay, I'm not familiar with how I would coordinate that with my subdivision. At least I'm not aware that there even is an organization for my subdivision.
Well, I guess the big question is, it's lakefront. I understand it's canal, but it's lakefront. So you're muted, Craig, if you're talking.
I'm trying to get my child to go back into the basement, so.
Oh, sorry. I just saw your mouth moving.
There are other lots on the canal that are zoned not as lakefront, if that matters at all with your consideration. There are other lots with lake access on the canal that are zoned as standard lots, and they do have fences, and some do have fences, and some I guess could put fences up.
But ultimately, you are lakefront. You don't really have a hardship. Having dogs in a lakefront is not a hardship, and you did it without a permit. knowing that you needed a permit,
Yep, that's
knowing
correct.
the material that you used probably wasn't good material to use.
Yes, that's all correct.
And just as a clarification for the procedure here, when we go through it, the first variance will be to allow the fence in a lakefront. And then if that one is approved, then you can go on and review the, the material variance request. But if the first one is not approved, then, the second one would automatically, by default, be also not approved either, based upon the non-approval of the first motion, put it that way. If that makes sense. I hope I didn't confuse things further, but there'll be two separate motions when you do decide to review this. And if the first one is denied, then the second one would likewise be denied. And if not, then you go from there.
Would you want us to do the second one if the first one is denied, or just it would be?
Yeah, you could do the second one. You would do the second one if the first one was denied, but just you don't really necessarily in that case have to go through every single, like we normally do the checklist, because
Sure.
It's pretty obvious that if a fence is not allowable, then those materials, but you still need to address it because he has requested it.
All right. All right. Does anybody else have any questions? If not, we'll go through our checklist.
Craig, did we want to note, there was, I think, one more email. I think we heard from West Fogg. That was one of the emails that we
Yeah,
received.
there was another email
And his
I saw
name is
also.
John
Well,
Yester.
I only saw his, but maybe there is another one. Hold on.
Yeah, it's,
Hi, I'd like to speak. Can I speak?
Who is this?
Hello?
Sorry, I muted them. I don't know how they unmuted.
Craig, since
I'd
you're
like to speak.
That's
No, we're
second.
May I
closed.
speak?
We're closed to the board. We're closed to the public.
well, since they're here, Craig, just in the interest of transparency, if they can keep their comments brief, I think it would be probably.
Why is the public muted? Can you unmute so we can talk?
There is a particular time when the public is
want?
allowed to speak in the process of the meeting. And we
Well,
already.
I'd like to say that the gentleman that says there's all kinds of new fences over here, I live on the canal. I drive the pontoon around the canal all the time. There are no new fences on the canal in 25 to 30 years. So I don't know who made those statements
I
that
did.
said he drove around.
I
What's
did.
your name?
My
what's
name's
your name?
Craig Minoletti. I'm the chairperson, and yes, there are fences, and there's newer type fences that I saw. I'm not saying they're new, but I'm also saying that cyclone fences usually rust out after 25 years, sir. There were no rust on a lot of these fences.
I am telling you, I live on the canal. The fences that are there are all grandfathered in, and no one has built a new fence on the canal
There's
lot.
no such thing as grandfathered in.
All right, I would say now.
Yes, there is.
Point
Yes,
of
sir.
order. Can we please close to the public?
Yes, exactly.
It has
Why
no
are we doing
bearing on
this?
our case.
I mean, we had a chance to the public. That's it. We're done.
I put the guests in the waiting room, so they will
Thank
not
you.
be coming back in.
I've got an email from John Yester, which I believe that's the gentleman there.
No, I think that's the West guy.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. My bad.
Yeah.
Hello,
Seriously?
this is John Yester. Just letting you know I'm online.
They're in the waiting room. I don't know how they keep accessing. My bad, guys. Sorry about that.
You know what? Put Mr. Yester on and let
Actually,
him speak so I don't have to
hey-
read this.
Hey, Craig, I'll make a motion that we reopen to Mr. Yester.
Second.
Bring him back in right now.
Sure.
Mr. Yester, you are on and speaking.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Roll call.
You have to do a roll call quickly.
Do a quick roll call before he speaks, please.
Okay.
Duff,
Yes.
Minoletti,
Yeah.
Tupper,
Yes.
Laybourne,
yes.
Yes.
thank you.
Oh, you didn't ask me?
Who did I forget?
Aaron.
Moretto,
Moretto?
yes.
Oh,
Moretto, sorry.
okay. Mr. Yester, are you there, sir?
Yes, I am.
Please state your name, your address, and where you're currently located, and feel free to tell us what you'd like.
Yeah, my name's John Yester. I'm at 2145 Helmsford, and that's where I am now.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, as you mentioned, I did send in an email, and
Yep,
it was
I'm
kind of
looking
done
at
in two parts. Yes, and I think Bonnie did a very nice job. That there's really two issues. One is whether or not there's a fence, and the other one, which was the afterthought in my letter, was the materials being used.
Yeah, that's
And that has both aspects of the brought up earlier about property values, as well as one of my concerns is safety because of the type of post used. And so, with that in mind, I keep that. I've been working on that outlot for the last couple of years. And so to be digging around in those weeds and the underbrush and then be concerned about, contaminants in the soil, it's like, hold on a second, should I have that problem? And that's why I put that concern in.
Okay, thank you. Anything else
Okay.
you'd like to add?
Yeah, I would, because I have a fence around my yard, but I do have a pool. But my fence has been zinc painted 3 times, and my neighbors is in the same case. And so there are a lot of lakefront homes on Helmsford that have chain link fixes that are silver, but they've all been painted. We do have a little bit of pride in our neighborhood, and that's what I'm trying to encourage, is like, I like the village. I'd like it to be a nice place. So thank you. I'm done.
Thank you. Okay, so apparently there are fences on the street according to the other neighbor. Okay, anybody else in the waiting room that we need to talk to, or are we good now?
I think you guys are good to close to the public.
We are going to close to the public. All right. Do we need to do a roll call for that?
I don't think so.
No.
Okay, good. All right, you guys ready to go to our checklist?
Let's do it.
All right. Agree or disagree that a special or unique conditions and circumstances exist which are peculiar to the land, structure, or building involved and which are not generally applicable to other land, structures, or buildings in the same district?
Disagree.
Does anybody agree?
No.
No.
We have 6 disagree.
And just to clarify, this is a motion on 1270.08C1D4.
Yep.
Regarding fences allowed in lakefront yards.
Well, we haven't made the motion yet. This is just the checklist.
Yeah, this is just a checklist.
Right, but for this,
Yeah.
that we are looking at this particular issue.
Do you guys want to do the checklist for the other one right now, or do you want to just wait?
No,
It's
I
up
would
to you
wait.
guys.
Just wait.
Wait.
Okay. All right, moving on. Agree or disagree that a literal interpretation of the provision of the zoning ordinance would deprive the applicant of rights commonly enjoyed by other properties in the same district under the same zoning terms, and that the variance is the minimum necessary?
Disagree.
Well, I'll agree with that one because there seems to be quite a few fences on that street. Kyle, what do you think?
I agree.
Aaron?
Same reason as you, there are fences.
I'm gonna agree as well.
Bonnie?
Yeah, agree.
Kathy?
I agree.
So we have 5 agree and 1 disagree. Number 3, agree or disagree, the special condition and circumstances do not result from the actions of the applicant. They're not self-created. Well, I think we can all disagree with that, correct? They are self-created.
Yep.
100%.
Is everybody okay with that?
Yes.
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 Agree or disagree, the granting of the variance will be in harmony with general purpose and intent of this ordinance.
Disagree with that.
Disagree.
We've been pretty strong on fences on lakefronts.
Mm-hmm.
So I would disagree. Does anybody agree with that? Okay. Number 5, the variance will not be injurious to the neighborhood or otherwise detrimental to general welfare.
I'd have to disagree with that based on the materials.
I don't know personally if those materials would be harmful to anybody. I mean, I'm
They
not,
are.
I'm
They
not
are.
educated in that, but
Trust me, they are. That's
Okay.
why
No,
they're banned for purposes of that, is because
Okay.
they do leach off, and they leach off heavy metals, which are quite nasty, and specifically to invertebrates like turtles, bait fish, things like that.
Okay.
That's what absorbs them.
Arsenic is one of those types of metals that moves with water, so
Yep.
it can, it's not like lead where it's kind of bound up in the soil. Arsenic can move, so.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Soluble.
So are we all good when we say we disagree there?
Disagree with number
That
5.
we feel it is going to be harmful because of the material?
Yeah, disagree, correct.
Okay. Agree or disagree, the spirit of this ordinance shall be observed and public safety secured and substantial justice done.
Back up a second, number 5. We were commenting on materials and we're supposed to be recognizing the existence of the fence on lakefront, which is irrelevant to materials. We may want to redo number 5.
Well, it isn't actually, because he already built the fence. So you're granting a variance on something that he's already done with the wrong materials.
Good
So
point.
it does roll all into one, Bonnie, unfortunately.
Good point. Good point.
All right, number 6, agree or disagree, the spirit of the ordinance shall be observed, public safety secured, and substantial justice done.
Disagree.
Yeah, I would disagree with that one too.
Does anybody agree with that? Why are we disagreeing?
Spirit of the ordinance is to keep fences off of lakefront property for
Yep.
aesthetics.
And not to use materials that can cause harm
that
to the
could cause
canal and
harm to the
wildlife.
environment.
So I would like to make a motion that we approve ZBA case 20-702, the appeal of 1270-08, subsection 1.
Subsection C, subsection dash 1,
C
D.4.
dash 1. No, D.4 is the second one. It's A.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're
Purpose
right.
of non-adornment fences.
Sorry about that.
No problem. Just wanted to make sure I got the verbiage right.
Wait, no, just to clarify, I think the no fence is allowed is the one that we're doing, correct?
Yeah, we're doing that.
Yeah, I think I was right.
Yeah,
That's-
D4.
Yeah.
D4.
Ah, take that, Mark.
Yeah.
Well, then
Okay.
whoever wrote on this thing has it wrong. Anyways, so yeah, friendly amendment to what I said. That's fine. D4.
Yep. Okay, we have a motion. I'll second. Any discussion on the motion? Mark, what numbers do you want to attach to this?
I would like to do one. Let's just one, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Why not?
Okay, 1 through 6. So just to review, numbers 1, 3, 4, 5, and 6, we unanimous disagree. Number 2 was 5 agree with 1 disagree. I second the motion. Any discussion on the motion? Roll call, please.
Aywarn,
No.
Duff,
No.
Moretto,
No.
Tupper,
No.
Minneletti,
No. Okay, Mr. Williams,
No.
Hold on.
contact the village. I'm sorry.
hold on, Ingram,
Oh, I'm
No.
sorry, Kyle.
All good.
Kyle, what were you? I'm sorry.
Oh, I said no.
Okay, very good. All right, Mr. Williams, contact the village and talk to them, and they will give you some direction.
You were only on for a second.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. All right, moving on. Mark, anything?
No, well, a little bit. So our new administrator started. He's doing a bang-up job. Very nice guy, seems to know what he's doing. We interviewed a treasurer because I believe I mentioned the last meeting or the meeting before that Mr. Condit is planning on retiring at some point in the near future. So we interviewed her. She seems like a good candidate. actually lives in the area. We approved the admin to basically negotiate a contract, and we're waiting to find out whether or not that's going to go through. And that's pretty much it. Just normal budgetary stuff coming up. And yeah.
Okay. Anybody else have anything they want to talk about? No,
Any idea if there's a meeting for February?
that was my next. Tim, anything for next month?
Yep.
Yes. Does that, can
Yes.
anybody not attend? What day would that be?
February 16th.
I will be in the Bahamas, but I will still attend the meeting just for you people.
Oh, that's
And I'm going to make you look at the ocean while I'm doing the meeting, while I have a drink in my hand. It may or may not be alcoholic. We will yet to determine that.
I make a motion that we just turn Craig's camera off.
That can be arranged. Okay, guys, anything else? If not, we'll do an adjournment.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, very good. I'll second. All in favor.
Aye.
I'll see you from the beach next month.
Gotta do a roll call.
You got to do a roll call, Craig.
Oh.
Gotta do a roll call.
Yes.